Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. As always, leaving a like, leaving a comment, or subscribing. All of these things do help out the channel immensely. I'm back home. I don't know if you can tell by the difference in sound, but yeah, I've been gone for almost 4 weeks. I tried to make sure that there would be more than enough videos for everyone out there while I was gone, but now I'm back. So basically it's back to work. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. There's a lot to cover, of course, because that's just how the world works. For those of you not looking at the screen, it says Bitcoin price analysis. Bitcoin turns red below 20,500 US dollars. This one says Bitcoin and Ethereum continue to weaken. I love bringing you all this good news. SRM and Quant rally. This one says Cardano's price may soon drop as it's getting weaker and weaker. So let me, of course, as always, explain what's actually happening. For those of you who've been asleep for the last year, and I mean that, can you imagine having slept past all the nonsense from the last year? The world's economy is crumbling in front of us. Not like lightly crumbling. I mean, it's more like a dramatic, I was gonna say bread crumble or like flaky crumble. I don't know. I think I'm thinking of like commercials at this point where it's like, have this bread crumble. It is flaky. Anyway, the point is, the cryptocurrency market isn't, dare I say, it's not weak. It's more so that the world's economy is once again, as we've gone over, dramatically collapsing around us. I do believe that a lot of people in the cryptocurrency space don't usually look outside of the borders, and they tend to simply think or look at the charts and go, well, this is happening because Bitcoin's RSI, AMB, AMC, daily moving something is doing this within this channel, and therefore that's going to happen. And then when prices collapse, they go, whoa, I can't, well, how the fudge did that happen? I didn't see that on the chart. And it's because people aren't actually looking a little bit further. On top of that, before I give you the actual what's going on, it says Bitcoin's bottom is approaching. This was said by a Glassnode analyst, and it wasn't a warning so much as more of a just description of what's currently taking place. It says the global crypto market seems to have come under the bear claw again, as the overall market cap has dropped by 2.75% and is roughly around $888 billion. Wonderful. The world's largest cryptocurrency by market cap, Bitcoin, which had just entered the recovery phase, it didn't. You don't enter a recovery phase and then slope back down. We have to like actually hit $27,000, $28,000 and be far away from where we currently are to actually be in the recovery phase. Person has once again lost its $20,000 price level. July 11th, the week on chain report from Glassnode, a blockchain analytics firm, suggests that it has been a month since market capitulation, and many other indicators point towards a bottom for the Bitcoin price. This is due to the capitulation of retail investors and people who are mining Bitcoin. We've had indications while I was away. I was looking through the news that historically, we see that if people who are mining Bitcoin are not selling, it is because that they believe that Bitcoin's price is going to go up, and or they're making enough profit to be able to pay for their electricity, i.e. the price of mining one Bitcoin in some place in the world, let's say it's $20,000 and your electricity cost is around $40,000. You know, people tend to sell when they actually need to sell their Bitcoin, and it looks like people who are mining Bitcoin are currently selling, as Bitcoin, for a lot of people around the world, depending on how inexpensive electricity currently is for you, are actually not making profits. Some people are, some people are not, and therefore we're seeing the wallets of people who are mining Bitcoin actually selling off. Also, the shaking of the tree that we've gone over thousands of times before is just about done being shooken. Is shooken a word? He shooken the bacon. It sounds correct. Basically, the amount of people who got into the market as prices were surging are basically almost all gone. This happens every single cycle. They'll return once prices are going back up. They see that they should have stayed inside the market. You kind of get the entire idea. One of the main things floating around right now is that Bitcoin has a lot further to fall, or is still going to fall, or has a bit more to fall, depending on which camp that you're in. The idea, from what I've seen online, no one knows the exact numbers. It depends on how pessimistic of a person that you are. I've seen people saying that Bitcoin is going to drop around $12,000, and that'll be the final bottom. You know, we've destroyed every single oversold metric, and therefore that is the point where everyone's like, nope, gotta buy it, it's way too cheap. Or people are saying it's around the $17,000, $18,000 level. We basically have to retest 19,000 as the bottom, which was clarified for us before when we were floating around 18,000, 19,000 had to be hit. And therefore, after that, we would hit 20 and 21,000, which we did. Funny enough. But therefore, if we can hit 17, 16,000 once again and bounce right back up to that and go back up to 19,000, therefore the 19,000 is kind of the number. But it's kind of everyone is, I think, just mentally connected, and we all kind of know this ain't it. Like, this isn't the market recovery that we've all been waiting for. So Bitcoin, logically, no one knows, probably might slip a lot further, especially as the world continues to descend into what can only be called chaos. Yes, that's the crypto news. Now let me give you all the rest of it, just so you understand that it's not about a literal bear fighting over Bitcoin's price with Ethereum and all that other nonsense that constantly keeps getting thrown around. So the first thing floating around is that the stock market's not doing well. Haha, surprise, you know, because it's been doing so well for a while now. We're getting indications that U.S. inflation is continuing to rise. This is for a number of factors, many of which we are also going to go over in the next couple of seconds. We keep getting news that gasoline, petrol prices continue to drop in the United States, but roughly, even if you look at this chart right here, it says 5%. 5% isn't really cutting it, especially when some people are talking about $6, $7, $8, $9 per liter, per pound? I forgot how gas is measured inside of cars. So long story short, that's still very bad. We're getting indication that a lot of tech stocks and things that are tech stocky, or things that may be seen as risk averse, are also being sold off at the moment. We're also supposed to be getting some type of inflation data, I believe, today. A lot of other countries' inflation indexes have gone completely through the roof. Long story short, the economy's bad. It's still looking better than it was before, and it's also not looking too good. Also, not sure if you, probably not. I think a lot of this news is very spotty at the moment, depending on where you get it. You get your news. Remember 19? Remember that thing that kept everyone at home for like 2 years? I don't know if you've been looking at it. But numbers are at an all-time high, and there are slight indications that a number of governments have been talking about a remix, if you will, of 2020 based on current numbers. And if they are bad now, boy howdy, just wait to October, November, and December. So yeah, you can look that up for yourself, because, you know, algorithm and all that stuff. Also in the news, I'm sure a lot of you definitely heard about this one as well. It says the euro and the US dollar are at parity for the first time in 20 years. I remember I was just chatting with an old friend. Hello, old friend. I don't think he watches my videos anymore. I think he kind of like stepped away from the market, like a lot of other people, when prices dropped. And we were discussing the dollar to US parity. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. I was like, the last time I remember that happening was around 2002, 2003. The euro like kind of officially launched in 2000. A lot of countries didn't start adopting it until 2021, 2022. Yeah, this is definitely one of the craziest news stories. A lot of people, I think don't understand exactly why this has happened. I will give you a couple of tidbits basically so we can kind of continue on. One of the main reasons is the collapse of a number of countries' economies happening simultaneously. We've gone over this one or two other times before, nothing in depth, if you will. The idea basically being, remember how we were hearing about those other countries? First of all, the US dollar is the world's reserve currency. Check. Got it. Wonderful. If they're doing bad with a 9% inflation, it is only safe to assume that other countries who do not hold the world reserve currency status, their currencies have also been inflating to heaven and back, if you will, as well. Part of the problem is that their countries and their economies are not as, air quotes, resilient as the US's is, and therefore they have been crumbling at rapid speed. What a lot of people don't typically see in front of us at all times is that when these events do happen and these countries do fall to one side, the world police typically run to them and say, hey, we got your back. Just make sure that you do this, do this, do this, do this. We will even help you pay some of your debts, but you got to use the US dollar. And this is something that's often not spoken about. People are talking about inflation rates and this is happening. No, this is one of the main reasons. And as these economies continue to collapse, these countries then have to and are required to use the US dollar as a safe haven for them. Your old currency collapsed. You're not going to use the euro. You are not going to use the yen. We will help you with your problem. Just simply use the US dollar. And this is what's currently taking place. And as a number of country in basically, instead of devaluing their own currency to allow other countries to float a little bit more towards the surface as they were sinking, the US has basically quadrupled down and basically told other countries, no, you're going to continue using the dollar to help strengthen the US dollar. That's kind of what it falls down to. On top of that, which is also in the news, but not really in the news and should actually be one of the main news stories, is that recently, like a day or two ago, Russia turned off one of their main, I believe it was a gas pipe that was connected to the European Union. However, they turned the little spigot off. And part of the problem is that that was one of the main resources for not only Europe, but also Germany to actually get gas. The idea being that if gas prices and electricity prices have already doubled and tripled in some parts of even just focusing on Europe, this will actually cause a bit of economic mayhem over the course of the next 2 months, with a lot of people expected to see their electricity bills, which were already or previously around 30, 40 euros, going to around 90 euros, expected to be around 180 to 200 euros by the time winter falls around. There's a gigantic disconnect, if you will, between the country above China because of special. That's the word that I'm going to use. And I wholeheartedly believe they know exactly what they're doing, but it's causing so much chaos for the rest of the world. And this is just where we currently are, at least in that factor. Also, don't forget that the European inflation numbers are also very high. They're not below the US dollars at all. So there's always a number of factors throwing things around. On top of that, for those of you who have not heard about Sri Lanka, I would implore you to look a little bit further into it. For those of you who do not know, regardless of what you might think, I cannot say a number of things on the channel, as many other YouTubers cannot as well, because there is an algorithm, and the algorithm listens to everything that I say. And if I say something that is, air quotes, wrong at the time of an actual event taking place, we're told this as YouTube content creators, when you post a video, you cannot say certain things about certain events currently happening because the algorithm will pick it up and the channel will have problems. So for those of you who have not been looking at what's happening here, Sri Lanka on the screen, basically people were unhappy. They found the residence of the person who was making them unhappy. Starts with a Prez. And basically, they went to that residence, took it over, slept in said person's bed and his pool, and basically went completely insane as far as we know, but with good cause, because for those of you who haven't been seeing what's been happening in that country in the last couple of years, economic mismanagement actually made it so bad that there was no food and money, and also people have, so you know how like in America and in Europe gas prices, petrol prices have been going up and like it's really expensive. Well, in Sri Lanka they have none. Not like a fake none. Like there are people who are standing in a line, standing in a queue, and have been there for 2 weeks, literally 14 days, to be first in line to be able to get a shipment from other countries who they're basically begging, please send us some. And even then, the next shipment after that one won't happen for another 2 weeks as well. So people are a little angry, as one might have assumed. And the country has more or less collapsed. So this is, of course, also major news floating around as well. And keeping in mind, these are all actual answers as to why not only the stock market, but also why the cryptocurrency market is falling. Don't ever let anybody tell you it's because of what Peter Thiel said or because Jamie Dimon doesn't like Bitcoin. No, there's a lot happening, and it's affecting our market because we are in a very risky market. It's a bit risque, if you will. However, when the riskiness gets a bit too high, people get terrified and begin to pull their money out. Don't forget, crypto is also a global market, so people in other countries seeing chaos will be dragging their money out of our market as well. Also in the news, yeah, this is also something that should be a lot more newsy, and very few places are actually talking about this. The country below Russia, China, is currently going through many different issues. So they're still actively trying to deal with 19. And basically they did the stay inside thing, and people got very angry. And now it appears as if inside the country, the banks have basically told people, hey, it's our money. You can't use it. Like actually, like this is, I'm choosing my words lightly. I'm walking on thin digital ice. But just to let you know, I would look this up further if I were you, because it's getting a bit rough. And this does not and is not allowed to happen. This thing that you see on the screen, public gatherings holding up cardboard with words on the cardboard are not allowed there. But they're happening because people are angry. And yeah. So that's also causing problems as well. Some people were asking on Twitter if I could find the exact documentary I was talking about before about the Chinese economy and how it's not as bright and wonderful as possible. There are thousands of them out there. I can't really pinpoint exactly which one I was watching. Like they kind of pop up on my suggested YouTube area. I click on one. It's kind of like, the rabbit hole that you fall down. I'm going to keep looking to see if I can actually find a good one, if you will. But this has been happening for years. The idea of their economic slowdown began around even before 19. That is to say 2020 C19. Anyway, you get the point. There's been indications for a while that their numbers were not falsified, but everyone around the world thought that they were going to have this economic boom forever. And then we realized very quickly, especially with the collapse of that housing company like a year ago, that no one's actually buying these properties. No one can afford these properties. Things have gotten way too expensive. People can't afford stuff. And there's a lot of cracks behind the glass. Like basically the There's like a thin layer of glass that we can't get through, but on the other side is just glass shards. That's kind of the nicest way of saying it. So, and then also on top of that as well, don't forget that Turkey and many other countries are their currencies have also basically collapsed. There needs to be and will not be for a while a reset of the global economy. There needs to be like a redo of everything. A lot of people are saying Bitcoin should be the so-and-so and so. I think we need to get away from the entire system that we currently have because we are witnessing its actual collapse. There's going to be an answer for it. In 15, 20 years, we will have been given an answer and we will have no choice but to follow said course. But around the world right now, you may be lucky enough, and I say this honestly, and I've said this before, you may not feel the direct economic impact of world events because you were lucky enough to have been born onto a particular portion of soil, and therefore you can read the news but not actually be hyper affected by it. There, however, are billions, if you can conceptualize this number, at least 3 billion people on the planet who are heavily affected by this. And they're going to continue to be affected by this because corruption exists. And a lot of countries around the world have no idea what they're doing economically or otherwise. And we are currently witnessing the descent into economic madness that is not going to end anytime soon. Just giving it to you as you know, clearly as possible, just to let you know that this is not over. This is not going to end. And yeah, even for Turkey, their inflation target at the end of 2023 is 19%. I think their current inflation rate, it says it's somewhere around here. Where are the numbers? Yeah, 73% for the consumer price index, and consumer prices were actually in transport were actually 107%. That's their inflation rate. So like I said, the point being, that's all the price news. The stock market is 50-50. There's some things in green, some things in red, logically. But there's a lot of optimism around like job reports and people getting jobs again, and that inflation may not be as high as people are claiming it to be, which I think we're going to get the actual numbers today. But just know that, and it's not even behind the scenes. In front of the scenes, it ain't looking too good. Things are looking a little bit crappy all over the place. And this is why the cryptocurrency market is dropping and why other markets continue to drop. There's a lot of speculation that because of all this dropping, because of all this madness, that there will have to be a money fix, that the Fed will basically have to announce by the end of this year that they have to turn the money printer back on to be able to get us back to where we were. But this also then leads us to another situation where they turn the money printers back on and they begin buying equities and securities once again as they were doing before, because that ends up being the only way to sustain the economy. And we've seen how that turns out, because it also causes prices to rise, and it also causes a lot of other mishaps as well. So yeah, at the moment, the world's economy is collapsing. Don't forget the news that we got from the BIS and the International Monetary Fund, who basically were like, yeah, a crazy recession's gonna be coming. And it is not, like, this isn't even it. Like, I know things are a bit topsy-turvy at the moment, but I don't think we've seen the worst of it. Especially not with winter coming our way. And if you will, look up 19 rates in a number of countries. Anyway, that's the welcome back. That's the price news. And yeah, let's move on. So, not to say I told you so, I'm just going to say I was there at a point on the internet and I spoke into a microphone to tell you that this was going to happen. Twitter Inc. has filed a lawsuit against Elon Musk to force the Tesla CEO to go through with the agreement to buy Twitter for $44 billion. Twitter alleges that Musk has breached the agreement repeatedly since he signed the deal with the company. For those of you who weren't here before, and also I got tons of dislikes on that video, don't think I can't see it. Of course I can see it. I don't understand why you all defend this man so much. I cannot understand it. Like mentally, I just don't get it. I've been following Elon Musk for a while. Not like physically in the streets, but more like, you know, his entire career. I also had a television and I also have had the internet. So I've been able to see what he's done and what he has proposed. He hasn't. Now, here come the dislikes. He hasn't done a lot. He's very rich. I got that. But he's made many proposals for a lot of things. I would say 15, 20 things over the last 10 years. And like one of them has come true. A lot of the Hyperloop stuff has kind of been downgraded to like that underground parking garage thing in Las Vegas. You can also find articles years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, where he proposed free internet for the entire world. You can Google it. Actual free internet. And he said he was going to launch a whole bunch of satellites that would blanket the world and basically give everyone free internet. Like not paid, free, high-speed internet. And then that became, well, only certain places in the world. And then that became, well, we're only going to launch a couple of satellites above a couple of countries. And this service would have to be paid for. He didn't found or create Tesla. He purchased Tesla when it was a smaller company and found a way to really market it as a gigantic company. And I know somebody out there who owns a Tesla just clicked away from the video. So have a good day to you, sir. But besides that, nearly everything that he's done, and I'm not talking about anything philanthropic or donation-wise. Cool, if he's donated money, you know, you have over 100 billion. You don't need all that money. But everything else has just kind of been like, what do you call it? I want to be in the news kind of things. And I told you all of this before. In order to come up with $44 billion for the actual deal, you have to partner with a number of other companies as well. Like this wasn't going to be a 100% buyout. That's not how it works, because he would have to have liquidated such a massive amount of the stock that he owns from other companies that he would have caused those stock prices to crash. You didn't believe that he had $200 billion in a bank account or even spread across 10 bank accounts. No, it's like his actual wealth in general. It's the real estate he might own, the city's worth of real estate that he might own, and the other stocks and bonds and mutual funds and portions of hedge funds and the amount of, you know, all those things cumulatively together. The entire idea is that he said that he wanted to buy Twitter, as far as I can remember from the news stories, something about freedom. Something about freedom of speech and all these other things. And I was like, why not just create your own social media platform? I feel like he's big enough that all he has to do is create his own and call it like Hot Muskie or something like that. And tons of people, terrible name, by the way, and tons of people would go use it. You agree with me, right? And, you know, there's tons of Elon Musk fans. They would definitely use it. It'd become a big platform in about 3 to 4 or 5 years. But this entire thing seemed completely nonsensical because for those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, I make sure to share all these things on Twitter as well. He began to try and talk about backing out of it a couple of weeks ago because he said there were too many bots on Twitter. Oh, there's way too many bots. I need actual clarification from the company that there are not a lot of bots on there, because if there are bots there, and I'll put it to you this way. How many of you have ever gone to go buy a home? You know, you go view the home, got it. And then you walk around, you may knock on the walls. You may see if things are safe. You may see if any nails are poking out, how the structure's doing. You do a lot of things before you actually put in the offer for $500,000. You don't simply hear that there's a house for sale, call up the agent and go, 500,000 sold. Because that's nonsense. You go look at the house. You probably even hire someone as well. I'm going to get to the point. You probably even hire someone as well to walk through the house who's a professional. And they can tell you exactly what's going on and if the house in essence is worth it. How new are the appliances? How new is so-and-so? How new is everything inside the house? Does it need a lot more work? Are there termites? You kind of get the idea. The idea of putting forth a $44 billion proposal to buy a social media platform that's not even as popular as it was 10 years ago without checking or having 15 people check if it's overrun by bots is nonsense. The world is run by bots. You know that people trading on stock markets just use bots now. Like, it's a very common thing. The automated responses that you get on Instagram or on Twitter are from bots. We've kind of learned to live with these robotic entities as you can't get rid of them because they are very easy to create and they're all over the place. So I told all of you before that he didn't have the money for this, just simply outright. I know your love for Muskie told you, no, I've heard he's the richest person on the planet. He definitely has this money, but physically he does not. It is tied up in many other assets. People who have a $10 million net worth don't have $10 million in the bank. They own about 20 properties. They have tons of art. They have tons of, other things, and they would have to liquidate all those things to actually get to the $10 million. So this was the most popular news story of the day. I only have 2 tabs here because, sure. But once again, it's not an I told you so. He's a megalomaniac. He is obsessed with attention for himself. He just simply wants as much power as he can possibly have. It's not just him. It's all of them. It's all the top 100 in the world richest people. Same thing goes with Warren Buffett. There's a reason why this man sits on stage and feels that he can tell you what to buy and what not to buy. It's the idea of I have the money, I have the power, I am better than you. At some point, Elon Musk is going to once again announce something that he's going to do, and then he's not going to do it, but people will have forgotten because it sounds really powerful when you can say that you have this much money and you are going to do something that sounds cool on the news. I don't get why people fall for this man so easily. Especially, have you seen, there's and I mean, it's because of people actually looking into what he said, what he has not done, and allegedly what other people who have worked around him have said that he allegedly is like. There's a meme going around, and I chuckled for a bit. It was a photo of Tony Stark, and it's like what Elon Musk thinks he's like. And then beneath it, it was a photo of Homelander. And if you don't know either one of those references, you got to look it up. I'm not going to tell you because you're just not nerdy enough. Anyway, that's and I mean, even more than world economies collapsing around us. Like, this news right here should have been the biggest news story in the cryptocurrency space, because what you're seeing here is not allowed to happen. This right here is crazy and people are angry. However, Elon Musk actually having no actual desire to even buy this from the get-go, not even having the money to be able to do so, and now calling back on it. And the amount of people who are advocating for him and fighting for him on Twitter, talking about what Twitter's garbage, he should have never bought it in the first place. It's like, you were all very excited about 19 and a half days ago when you thought he was going to buy it because he was going to give you more freedom of speech on the platform or whatever people were screaming about. Just make your own platform. It seems a lot more logical that people would simply just use that. Anyway, this was the most popular news story of the day. Can you imagine the world's economy crumbling to dust? And the news is Elon Musk isn't buying Twitter. All right. Let's move on. Also in the news, this should have also been quite popular. It wasn't. Switzerland's post office is set to onboard cryptocurrency trading through its banking arm, Post Finance, as users' appetites for custody grows in the country. Some 2.6 million users that currently bank with Post Finance, the 5th largest bank in the country, are expected to be able to buy and sell Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies through an in-house trading and custody service within the next 2 years. As reported by local media outlet SUES Info, the executive board of the post office's banking arm intends to provide direct access to cryptocurrency markets through a proprietary service operated by Post Finance by 2024 at the latest. The amount of crypto adoption is staggering. It's completely insane how many companies and institutions and banks are integrating and using and adopting Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So I think anytime that adoption comes into question, I always question the other people who are questioning the adoption. And it's always a bit of a shame because I have so many friends who just aren't into crypto. I got about 5 who are like really into crypto. The other like 18 people who I'm really close with, they want nothing to do. They have no, but sometimes, like I told you before, they'll leave, or they'll send me little snarky remarks. How's the crypto market doing? Because they don't understand exactly what's happening in the background. Like when we talk about banks talking about where Bitcoin's price is going to be, or leaving price predictions of a $500,000 Bitcoin in 2025, not because the number sounds cool, but it's like, why would they be wasting their time with Bitcoin unless they own Bitcoin, and talking about the price and stuff like that? I've been discussing this with my main 2 money friends. Hello out there. I love that I called them money friends. And as far as like where crypto is heading, I don't believe that crypto's finished. I don't believe that Bitcoin's staying down forever. I don't believe that we will see these prices for an eternity. I think at some point we will see things skyrocket back up. But the level of adoption by the wealthiest people on the planet, when you talk about these people who are billionaires talking about that 5% of their 10% of their wealth is in crypto, half of their wealth is in crypto, and all these other really crazy things, and banks buying it and banks integrating it, and countries adopting it, and all these little things. And once again, these are the things that we hear about like openly. Like someone released that information, it got published into an article, and then we went over it here. Just imagine the 95% of other things that we're simply not hearing about. And I was asking my friends, were they still buying crypto actively? And they were like, kind of taking a little breather because, the market's down and stuff like that. But this is when all the actual integrations begin. This is when all the structural work is kind of put in place for the future. And I was a couple days ago, I actually had a TV, which I haven't had in a while. And I clicked on, was it CNBC or something like that? And on the bottom, they were showing like stock prices. But when the stock prices would flip away, Bitcoin and Ethereum's price was there. And I was like, we've come so far. It's been 13 and a half years that these cryptocurrencies are now on the screen. Like mega investors, I'm sorry for rambling, but like it's known, like we are now completely mainstream. And we see this gigantic price movement after or during every single halving. And I always question, where will we be by 2032? Will we have $1 million Bitcoin price? Will buying Satoshis now have some actual mega impact on you in the future? Like remember the entire idea of us talking about a 1-to-1 parity of Satoshi to dollar? Like imagine, this is very far-fetched. This is like, stretch it as far as you can. Give me back that grain of salt even. Imagine we get to the point where right now you can buy, what is it? Let's say 20,000, 2,200. You can $200 buys you 1 million Satoshis. Imagine in 15 years if that $200 basically becomes $1 million because of the like a 1-to-1 parity. How weird would that be to I don't know, like live in that future. But it's kind of, I mean, it kind of happens for a lot of things. Like I told you before, like I was thinking with my friends, of course, we were very annoyed. I was sitting there like at the beginning of 2020 or at the end of 2019, somebody bought like 10 of those Bored Ape Yacht Clubs for like $15 each. And I was like, now they have like $30 million. So I guess it's kind of the same thing there. Okay, I'm going to stop rambling now. But you understand what I'm saying. It's this really weird, the level of adoptions are too high for me to be like, oh, well, this is just a passing fad. Like, you know, like crypto just won't be popular in the next couple of years. As adoption increases and these people continue to buy, and we keep seeing whale news of people buying as the other people are selling all of their coins, what happens if we get to $500,000 Bitcoin? How rich are these people who've been buying? Like, what coins are going to be around in the next 10 to 15 years? How rich will people be? People have already become incredibly wealthy over the last 6 years from the cryptocurrency market. I have all these questions in my head all the time. Why are all the banks integrating cryptocurrencies? How many of them are using it? How many of them are buying it secretly behind the scenes through a subsidiary of a subsidiary of a subsidiary of a subsidiary of a shell company of a subsidiary? How much is being accumulated? How much are they betting behind the scenes that they are going to like make this the world currency or a world currency, or I don't know. I know I'm not the only one like with all of these questions, but doesn't it seem quite fascinating when we constantly get news of such heavy adoption of crypto, regardless of where the price might actually be that day? But I always think about these things. Because right now, for a lot of people, crypto is just kind of this, you know, get in, get out, make really quick, fast money. But it's clear that this is part of the economy at this point. It may be a very small portion of the economy, but our integration is definitely there. What happens during the next two halvings when Bitcoin's price is easily over $250,000? How many people are then allocating huge amounts of their money into like fractions of Bitcoin just to have something to be like, hey, I want to be able to pass this on to my grandkids? Where's Bitcoin's price in 50 years? Ethereum's price? What happens to the world computer's price when it has 95,000 transactions per second? It has 15 different side chains on it. And we're finally, in 95 years, at Ethereum 3.0. See what I'm saying? I always wonder these things. I always have these questions in my head. Of course, no one can answer them, but yeah, how rich will people be because of these markets? How many dynasties will be created? And I say that from like a very honest standpoint. $5 million is an egregious amount of money. I know that we usually end up hearing, well, this person has $22 billion. This person is worth $949 million. You know, those are huge amounts. $5 million gets you by pretty good for the rest of your life. I told you before, even just in real estate, you know, even if you're getting, the point is, you can survive on around a good $40,000 per month with $5 million invested. $40,000 is a huge amount of money, especially with that $5 million. If you bought a huge amount of real estate, which will continue to only go up. I'm not sure if you've been seeing the trends, not even the news of a bubble, and like it's people actually buying these homes. There's a huge amount of energy right now around the market because people know that not only is real estate finite, many cities cannot expand outwardly from where they are, and kind of what we got is what we got. So people are now competing with all these hedge funds and stuff like that. But the idea of having let's say you make $5 million from the cryptocurrency space. That's not only life-changing money, that's generational wealth that can be passed on forever. Those housing prices for the real estate that you buy with the $5 million that you have will continue to rise. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12% year on year. Your other investments will continue to arise as well. The rent that you get from these places, let's say you're making $40,000 a month from rental income and you live on, let's say, $9,000, $10,000. The other $30,000, you start to invest in other things. This is how you create the generational wealth. And it's this idea of, to me, The people who are in the market now, who I believe will benefit the most from these movements and all these other things happening, how rich will you be in the future? How rich will future generations be because of you? And then also on the other flip side of the coin, all the other people who are ignoring these markets, where will they be? Like how little money will they have? This great divide is already there. And I think sometimes you may not realize it because you got into the crypto market at a certain time. You've made money, but it's not a lot of money to you per se. Like, for instance, let's say you got into Ethereum when it was around $8. Ethereum's currently at 1,000, 11, 1,200. I don't know the exact price, but you made a huge amount of money. You might have heard that Ethereum at some point is going to go to 50,000. So you're like, oh, whatever. You know, I only have X amount of money from crypto. But at the same exact time, the other flip side is other countries' currencies have dropped by 80% in like 7 months, while you still made money. Like, even the idea of waking up sometimes, like, look, think of the cryptocurrency market when you wake up sometimes, like, and calculate how much you made that day. I do this sometimes, not, you know, explicitly every dollar and cent, but some days I wake up and I'm like, I made money for doing nothing. Like, I bought digital coins, they're sitting on a computer, and I made money anyway. I always think of these things. Where will the world be in 20 years? Oh gosh, that's a terrifying thought. But how will money be distributed? What if crypto does take over? Like, what if this does actually become the new economy? The old one continues to crumble for 10 years. Crypto slowly moves up. And then eventually people are like, okay, fine, crypto. What happens to the earliest adopters? What happens when Cardano is like $425? What happens if a Dogecoin is $25? What happens if XRP is you know, $189 in 20 years? All the people who bought it for 14 cents. All these, I don't know. Okay, whatever. We can move on. These are just things that float through my head. I always wonder about future scenarios, but anyway. That's the Swiss bank, Postbank, is going to allow people to buy and sell Bitcoin within the next year and a half. And don't forget about all the other banks in Switzerland who have already adopted Bitcoin. This is the actual post office for the country. Imagine your post office in your country allowing you to go in and buy Bitcoin. There's only 21 million of them. Yeah, that exactly. See, this is why it's such big news. All right, let's move on. As always, a very big thank you to my Patreon supporters. GBU Wally, Bubble Mode, How's Life Austin, Auspicious Agile and Blockchain, Jamie Saad, Blockchain Simplified, and let's move on. Empire Queen, Roman Geba, Bitcoin Ben, Arachno Dave, Tony Ambroski, The Dealer's Den, Captain Something in the Z-Way Lay, Mobarazi, VB Nerd 21, Miguel Grolet, Lauren De Silva, Quoted Biddy, Troy Allgood, Space Case, Need a Miracle, Pat Ternoster, Navarro Williams, Utopia 569, Moonman High XRP, Martin Steuer, Nostromo, John Sarson, The Animal Reader, A Bibliophobia, Todd Mullis, Adam Graysick, Wise Night Owl, 242 to the World, Bankroll Network, Crypto Artist, Cole D3D, Setsuna, Richie Rich III, Paxis, Nick Mangialavori, Jim Gardner, Jeremy Fox, Minting Coins, Yes to Crypto, Bodie McBoatface, Anytime Fitness, Monk's Corner Staff, Bake Me a Cake, Tigara Machonisa, On Crypto with Lionel, and Crayola Michelle, URL. Thank you all very, very much for your continued support. Thank you to everyone who is a member of the channel who clicked the little join button below. Thank you to everyone who is a clicker of affiliate links. Thank you to everyone who has left a comment, who has subscribed or still here listening to me. I'm looking at some of these coin prices and they are looking a little good. There's a lot of, while I was away, I tried to stay away explicitly from the market as I tend to do. And I would even suggest for some of you, try and take a week off. Just like get your brain, you know, back to normal. Crypto doesn't always have to be the main focus. And I won't lie, I was hoping that a lot of the prices hadn't skyrocketed while I was away. There are a lot of coins that I've wanted to buy, and I'll tell you while we're here. This is not financial advice. Please do not ever invest any more money than you can afford to lose into any market. I do not care what it is. Please understand that me telling you that I am looking at these coins does not mean that you should be buying them. I like the idea of ApeCoin. I've been looking at ApeCoin and I laugh at myself now because I think the first time I bought it, it was $22. Still got them. I haven't sold any. I think that ecosystem is going to do very well in the future. I might be eating my words or biting my words or something my words in about a year. Who knows? No one knows the future. But with all the stuff that they have lined up with their metaverse launch and all this other stuff, especially if we have any type of relatively soon crypto price recovery, I think $4 is looking quite interesting. Where's the other one? Sandbox as well. Oh, that's great. Sandbox and Decentraland. I feel like if we're going to have really popular metaverses in the cryptocurrency space, once again, not financial advice, I think ApeCoin, Sandbox, and Decentraland are kind of at the forefront of the most popular ones. Of course, Facebooks might become super popular. Amazon might launch their own metaverse. A million things could happen. But as far as the names that have held up in crypto, I'm always looking at these three coins. What's the total? The total market cap is 1.4 billion. Circulating supply 1.8, 2, 4, 10, 140, 147. $8. 80. I could see this going to like $5, $10, $15 easily. I don't know if it's going to hit a $147 billion market cap, but I could see this definitely, yeah, easily. 1.2 circulating supply, max supply, 100,000 million billion, 3 billion, 10, 30 billion, 300 billion. What was the previous all-time high for? Okay. I always look at these coins and I'm always like, this one is actually not bad at all. Max supply, 1 billion. Well, the previous all-time high for this was, I think, 26 or something like that. It could easily go to 100. I don't see why it wouldn't 4x after 3 movies and a whole bunch of other stuff popping out of it. But also, like, what other... Does anyone know explicitly? I have to look this up myself. There are a lot of coins, when you buy them or have them, you get like airdrops from them or like other privileges for having the coins. Like, what are the privileges of having ApeCoin as opposed to just having ApeCoin? Like, am I able to buy something with it? Am I able to buy land only exclusively with ApeCoin? Will there be some type of other, has it been talk, will there be like an airdrop to ApeCoin holders? Will there be a land to something or an NFT drop to people who hold a certain amount of ApeCoin? I think all these things are very important, if you will. I thought about Ethereum Classic for years ago, but that's I'm terrified of a number of these Cosmos, Chainlink, Solana, that whole bucket of coins. Because so many things keep collapsing and so many things tied to DeFi just aren't really hitting it anymore. I'm not getting any lumens, no. I thought about Uniswap for a while as well, but there's also, once again, a lot of stuff happening with DeFi. Polygon also, I wonder how far that's going to go. Because it's a great protocol. Something could usurp it, but as of right now, it's kind of one of the main scaling solutions for Ethereum as far as like, transactions per second, lowering costs and stuff like that, allowing people to have a different network to work on as opposed to the actual main net. I don't know if I'm going to be buying any Shiba Inu, but it's more of a gosh darn it if I'm not tempted, because it's this really weird, like, what if it hits 1 cent and I don't have any? But I think there's just kind of like the investor FOMO, like really just kind of smacking me in the face, because I look at so many of these coins, and I have many other coins for years ago, like same exact thing with Dogecoin. Dogecoin was like around here. It was like where that 9 is, that's where a 1 was. And now it's at 6 cents. I think it hit, what was it, 70 cents before? If you had invested, what are the numbers? I think it's like $1,000 into Dogecoin years ago, you would have had over like 100 million Doge or something like that, you know. Hitting 70 cents, you've basically made $70 million. So it's things like that that kind of always get me. Cardano is also like a gigantic question mark in my head. The price hasn't collapsed like many other coins have. It's currently going down, but you know, so is the rest of the market. But we have that big upgrade coming. We have all these other things happening with Cardano, and I just always wonder, how big is it gonna get? I always wonder these things. Yeah. Right, there are the prices. Ethereum's at 1,059. Bitcoin's at $19,518. Nothing too crazy, I think. We're relatively exactly where we were about 3.5, 4 weeks ago. So still traveling through that channel. Yeah. I hope you've all been doing well. I hope you're all doing okay. I hope that life has been kind to you. I know life is a bit all over the place a lot of times. So make sure to always take out time for yourself. Do something nice for yourself. You'll never hear me say this again. Buy something nice for yourself. Nothing extravagant. Not a new car, not a new something, but you know, if there's a new video game you wanted and you can afford to buy it, go get it. If there's something that a new pair of shoes that will make you feel good or something like that. I know we all feel it in the air. It's very heavy and has been for the last 2 years. Make sure to watch something funny, invite a friend over, contact an old friend. I've been contacting a lot of friends who I haven't seen even since my childhood. Just say, hey, what's up? What's going on? Have a little conversation. It'll brighten your day. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, and or supporting, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.